Hi, so I'm going to try and do this without my headphones on because one, I don't like it because of the microphone, and I know some of you don't like it because of the microphone, but two, because my neighbors are gone, so I might actually be able to film a video without any noise, which would be nice because my dogs are, if it's not the neighbor making the noise, it's the dogs being like, hey, can you not? When they suddenly drop things on the floor, which happens with some fair regularity, and quite frankly, it's, pretty annoying. But I'm here because I just finished watching the first episode of Dark season 3, and I am completely flabbergasted right now. I'm just kind of sitting here being like, because we all knew what was coming because of the end of the first season. We knew that things were going to be different, maybe in the storytelling here in the third season, and certainly it has been. And I really thought it was neat, but also a little concerning when the third season opens with the quote, man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. And I'm like, okay, so we're gonna approach everything from that perspective, which is fine. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I'll go ahead and maybe talk more about the spoilers here in a minute. I think for right now, I'm just going to say some things that are non-spoilery. One of them is I'm beginning to wonder about the title of Dark, and I think I've said this in some of my other videos, but before I thought it was because everybody in the entire town was in the dark about their family histories and how they were all intertwined, in addition to what was the cause of all these disasters that kept on befalling their town folk, right, every so often. And I am now beginning to wonder, because of something said at the end of this first episode, whether or not it's not metaphorical after all, and whether or not it may have to do with the overall solution to the entire dilemma that everyone's facing. So yeah, and just the other thing, I'm just really excited. So if I'm going and it's because I'm excited, and I'm literally just finished watching it, so my brain is still processing what did I just watch? What did I just watch? Yeah, I was thinking a lot also about the idea of splitting, which I know sounds strange, but just that, the whole idea of there being some sort of split, not only in time and events and people's actions and their emotions and how they may change depending on whether or not the person that they're talking to is perhaps who they thought they were, right? And so, yeah, just all those things. A lot of the ideas of roads or the road not taken keeps coming up in this first episode especially. And, if you could, go back and change something, would you, has always been a theme in this show. But just reaffirming that in the opening of the first episode of, like, if we knew how things would turn out, would we make the same decisions? And so just bringing forward that entire theme that has been running as a thread throughout this entire series, which I thought was nice. And it referenced the invisible hand again, which I don't really want to get into that because that's probably an entirely, like, I want to talk more philosophically about the invisible hand, about stuff like man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills, and all those sorts of things. But that may have to wait for another video because, quite honestly, I don't want to, like, bore all of you. But I really want to know, like, what do you think of those statements? What do those statements mean to you? And if you have any philosophical musings about them, please tell me about them in the comments because I want to know people's perspectives on the perception of reality, of the perception of time, the perception of space, the perception of what creates and makes up our emotions aside from chemical reactions and things like that, and whether or not we are all actually following some sort of predestined idea or a destiny, right? It doesn't have to be related to your Eurocentric Christian theology with predestination, whether or not you are following your own free will or whether or not there is a certain amount of destiny. All those sorts of discussions to me are entirely fascinating. They can be very divisive, but they can also be very fascinating. And I'm not a person that wants to sit there and be like, oh, well, you're wrong because this, because I'm just like, I know. I can, but I don't like to, because I don't know. I have this dilemma where I want to be a relativist, and now I'm getting into academia. This is why I'm not doing it, because I want to be a relativist, but I also know that there's major problems with the idea of relativism in so many ways. Don't know what that is? Go Google it. You have the entire, like, we have beyond what the entire Encyclopedia Britannica used to be that people have to buy encyclopedia sets for not that long ago. You have more than that, usually in your hand. So go ahead, look it up. All that kind of nerdy stuff over here, just putting it over here. I am going to start talking a little bit about spoilers, and then I'm just going to wrap it up, and then I will make another dark video once I'm finished watching this series, which may take me a while. I'm not going to lie. I have some things going on in my life personally, and the other thing is I really don't want it to end in a lot of ways, so I'm kind of just taking my time with it, okay? Please don't hate me. But yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and start talking about some spoilers. If you're up to this point with me, I can words. Up to this point with me, thank you for tuning in. Again, I would like to know any of your thoughts about Dark, whether it's season 1, season 2, this season. Just no spoilers for me yet. I may not actually look at comments until after I'm done with this season, just to be on the safe side. And that goes for all of you viewing this too. Just be careful in the comments section, okay? And that's not just for my video, like any video about Dark, okay? And yeah, so I'm so giddy. Yes, thank you for joining me if you're gonna stop now. So, ready for spoilers? Ready? Okay. 3, 2. That's my spoilers, just like a noise of exasperation. And not necessarily always angry either. Martha, like, sorry, the Spanish part of my brain. But like, yeah, Martha, seriously, when she came back, because she, at the end of the second season, and was like, it's not when, it's, what world or where. I was like, oh no, we're gonna start going down that rabbit hole, which is an entirely different, although connected oftentimes, rabbit hole. And now I'm just thinking about the cave where it all started, right? Rabbit hole. But oh gosh. And so watching this and watching Jonas try and process what he's witnessing during the entire episode, along with you, the viewer, trying to witness everything, making sure that you're getting everything, which I'm pretty sure I missed some things. So, yeah, because there's just a lot. That it's very relatable, the pacing. I think, if anything, it was just like one of those, this is a common problem I have with the show, where it's like, I want to know more now, but I also am kind of like, wait, what? And I'm still trying to process what I just saw. So, this episode was definitely another case of that, because it was overwhelming. But I think that they're very smart writing it in a way in which Jonas and or you, right, the viewer, had to go on that journey with him to, like, keep us from totally freaking out, even though we did freak out, but from losing our bearings, right? And that was fascinating. The fact that everybody lives in different houses, the fact that people ended up with different people, the fact that some of the people that we used to know as kids are actually a little older, like Mikhail, right? And people are dating different people. I'm not going to spoil some of that, because in case there's somebody else who just stuck around being like, I can deal with the spoilers, I'll be like, no, you can't, because I'm not going to talk about all of them, because I'm just like that sometimes. Yeah, there's a lot of things that, you just look at and you're just like, oh my gosh, and they keep flitting to, I keep wondering if we're going to have more of the characters that were peripheral characters come back and do things, and they have, including setting things on fire and being part of the whole, I still feel like, I don't know, this is weird, I feel like, I can't say his name right, is it Voller? I feel like that he works at the police department, right? I feel like Voller is going to have some other kind of role, and I felt that way early on, and now they're starting to focus on him more, even if it's just the linchpin about everybody, blowing off blowing the lid off of the whole, you know, series of situations going on at the PD, the police department, right? But still, I'm kind of intrigued because I was looking at that being like, oh, okay, writers, was I right? Is there more to Voller than we think there is? So I'm intrigued, and just the whole notion of Jonas having to try and convince Martha that, you know, like, you've had deja vu, it's a glitch in the Matrix, which is great because I rewatched the Matrix recently because I was watching it through the lens of understanding that the creators are trans and kind of taking the identity of the idea of trans existence and identity and viewing the Matrix trilogy through that lens. So I was doing that recently and it was pretty fascinating. So anyway, they said when Jonas was like, it's like a glitch in the Matrix, I'm thinking of, you know, when there's the cat in the Matrix movie and they see the cat go by again, it's like, oh, that cat just went by, and like everyone's like, what? To Neo, oh no, you know, they're onto us. So it was neat that there was just this strange and bewildering interaction between the two, and you kept wondering as the viewer, is this ever going to connect? How is she going to finally realize that this is a legitimate thing, right? And we still don't quite know that at this point. She's definitely encountered some weird crap that happened to her and everyone else at the end of the episode, because instead of Mikhail disappearing, we so far have not had anyone that we know of disappear, right, that night in November. But she's seen some weird things, so we'll see. In fact, they all have, right, because they ended up in the bunker together. And additionally, I'm just, oh, now my brain's just fumbling, because my brain just like, that was immersive, entertaining, jarring, horrifying, and also just like I have emotional investment. So it's like it's weird. It's like my brain's like, I'm still trying to process this, but as a viewer, I feel satisfied, even though I still want more. Right? I'm trying to think if there was anything else because there were so many things. If I went through all of them, it would take forever. So I really want to know what your thoughts are about these changes in how the world is for that Jonas just entered and entered into, and the one that Martha just entered into at the end of the episode. What are some ideas? What are some things that you think are going to happen if you haven't seen it? If you have, maybe be cool and kind of, you know, mark that it's a spoiler in the comment. Yeah. And I just, because I'll go back and read it, I promise, and I'll be like, oh, ooh, you know, like, it'll be neat, because I'll remember, you know, what I felt, and then reading everybody else's input is always fascinating. So, yeah, I'm very excited about this season of Dark, as you can obviously tell, and I just thank you so much for bearing with me. I apologize that it's a few days late. Like I said, I have some things going on in life. I know that you're probably like, Kelly, it's quarantine. How could you have things going on in life? Believe me, if you have a family member with Alzheimer's and it's a quarantine and you yourself are disabled and you're dealing with a lot of pain because you live in the desert and there's like a 30-degree temperature difference between the inside and outside, and all the metal in your body knows that, yes, you have things. I also have some doctoral work and some, well, I'm trying to get ideas for my doctoral work because it was a doctoral program that was very flexible. So I'm still trying to gather together what I think I may want to do. And I start that this fall. So there's that. And then I'm in like this retreat right now that meets once a week on Zoom. And some other things like that where I'm doing weekly Zoom meetings related to like woo-woo things, and then things that are like academic. And in woo-woo, I kind of joke because it's just complementary alternative medicine related stuff, but they're all through Zoom, and so I've been doing that for myself, and that's been personally enriching. But it's definitely like between that and balancing helping my parents, who are elderly, it does take up time. So again, thank you so much for bearing with me. I do appreciate that. And speaking of, yes, that's the line. See, I am a weeb. I mean, y'all probably know this already because how I speak and generally some of the topics I talk about. I have made a few anime videos, but not like a lot. And It's not meant to be a ding at people whose channel is that. I admire people whose channel is that. But yeah, I love Lane. Let's all love Lane. And I love Yoshitoshi Abe's work. I always have, ever since I first was exposed to it on Tech TV in the early 2000s. So I still have, like, I've had in another video, I have that old Lane messenger bag. So, um, yes. And I've been enjoying rewatching Cardcaptor Sakura. I know I talked about that. Sakura is on Netflix, and I talked about that in my previous few videos. But in case you didn't know, yeah, it's on there. So, in case you're like me and grew up with it, please go watch it now. Yeah, Dark was great. First episode's great so far. I'm really nervous about the rest of the season. Hopefully, it'll end up being as satisfying as this first episode. And just take care as you're able, y'all, and thank you for spending this time with me. Again, it may be a little bit until I have my whole talk about season 3 because of the things going on in my life. And the last book in the Daevabad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty just came out, and I totally want to read it. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that too. Y'all take care now, okay? This is Kelly with Eclectic Entries. Bye.